Okay, can we get a close football game today? Mark Rogers TV just a few minutes after UCLA pasted Virginia Tech 42-12. And to be fair to Frank Beamer and company, this was a close game through three quarters. We were into the fourth quarter with the Bruins holding just a 14-10 advantage at that point. And then Virginia Tech's limitations on offense really caught up with them. Misplays by the backup quarterback. UCLA got the passing game going with Hundley starting to hit his targets in the fourth quarter, and UCLA wins this one going away 42-12. The Bruins finish up at 10-3. If you want to see one play from this football game, it's actually a Hokie highlight. Logan Thomas, with 13 minutes left in the second quarter, carried the UCLA defense on his back, and before doing so, took Miles Jack, who's one of the best linebackers in college football and a rising star as a freshman, threw him about 5 yards downfield, and Logan Thomas had 50 yards rushing on 3 carries, and he was carrying the Virginia Tech offense on his back, much like he did the UCLA defense on that one play. Unfortunately, a couple plays later, Logan Thomas rolled to his left, delivered the football downfield, and Jordan Zumwalt, UCLA linebacker, delivered a blow shoulder to shoulder that knocked Logan Thomas from the game. It was a clean shot. A vicious shot, but a clean shot by Zumwalt, although he was flagged for 15 yards. Logan Thomas never returned to the game. Unfortunately, senior, his final game in college. He's led this football team since being a freshman at quarterback for Virginia Tech. And he was not throwing the football well at this point, 3 for 11 on the day. But Logan Thomas has been a stout quarterback, run and pass quarterback for Virginia Tech. And over the past couple of years, consistently has not received the type of support in the run game that you would expect out of a Frank Beamer football team. So let's first talk about UCLA and what Jim Mora has achieved in his second season at UCLA. They go from 9-5 last season and a bowl drubbing to Baylor in the Holiday Bowl to winning a bowl game, finishing this campaign at 10-3. They lost, the 3 football games to Arizona State, Oregon, and Stanford. So UCLA needs to prove next season that it can reach the elite of the Pac-12, but it's taking care of the rest of the Pac-12, the teams that they're supposed to beat. They played Stanford tough. They played Oregon tough for a half, and Arizona State as well for most of the football game. Again, UCLA finishes out at 10-3, and let's see what the Bruins have right now and what they have coming back. Okay, the first decision that needs to be made is by quarterback Brett Hundley. We would expect that Brett Hundley needs to come back to college football. If you watched him play this game, yes, he is a terror in the open field. He ran for 161 yards in this game. The first quarterback to run for over 100 yards in the Sun Bowl since Major Harris, if you remember him back in 1987 in a 35-33 win over Oklahoma State. Major Harris of West Virginia. Okay, back to Hundley. He's a terror in the open field, ran for 161, most of those in the first half. Actually lost yardage in the second half. Had big rushing totals in this game, and that was really the impetus of the UCLA offense in this game until he started throwing the football better. Eventually threw for 226, but misses guys in the open field, doesn't necessarily deliver the ball always on time, usually has to see that a guy's open before he can deliver the football. Yes, any NFL team would be happy to have Brett Hundley on its roster to develop, but I don't believe he's ready for the NFL right now, and he needs to come back to Westwood and develop as a junior quarterback next season for Jim Mora. Shaq Evans caught 60 passes last season, caught 43 this season. He's gone. He's a senior. He's off to the NFL. Jordan Zumwalt, we talked about his big hit as a linebacker on Logan Thomas. He led UCLA in tackles with 93 total tackles. He had 10 in this game, 5.5 tackles for loss on the season. He's gone. And also the great one, Anthony Barr, the best player on this football team with 20 tackles for loss and 10 sacks. He could have played in the NFL this season. Anthony Barr will be suiting it up on Sundays next season. But pretty much most of this offense and the key players on defense back for the Bruins in 2014. Got to be excited about this. Devin Lucien, the sophomore who caught 19 passes and who Jim Mora thinks is really going to be special as he improves. He's back, along with Jordan Payton, the sophomore, who received 36 passes from Brett Hundley this season. At running back, and UCLA really missed Franklin this season in the running game. They didn't really have that one guy, the workhorse, who could wear down a defense in the fourth quarter. They do have Jordan James, who's just a junior. He's coming back after gaining 534 yards rushing this season. Paul Perkins is a freshman, also had 576 rushing this season. He's just going to be a sophomore for UCLA. Defensively, all these guys are coming back. Anthony Jefferson, 82 total tackles from his cornerback position. He's a redshirt junior. You've got the sophomore safety, Randall Goforth, who had 70 total tackles and 3 picks. Eric Kendricks, 106 total tackles. He actually led the team in tackles, and Zumwalt was second. Eric Kendricks should be back as a redshirt junior linebacker. And then also you've got Ishmael Adams, who had 4 interceptions. As we know, Jim Mora has recruited classes in the top 15 over the past 2 seasons. We would expect much of the same, as this is a very hot, chic, sexy team and program right now. UCLA and under Jim Mora. They finish off at 10-3 on the season, and UCLA looks to be on the rise. It will be mighty interesting to see if they can challenge Oregon and Stanford and Arizona State as well in 2014, and specifically Arizona State, of course, trying to win that Pac-12 South Division to get to the conference championship game. Turning our attention to Virginia Tech, we can clearly see that UCLA's on the rise. The Hokies look to be at the crossroads. Frank Beamer has dominated the ACC up until the last few years. Now we've got the emergence of Clemson, and even more so, Florida State and possibly Miami. The Canes are building. They've got the offensive thrust. They've got the offensive speed and talent to compete at that level, but they're still trying to work on that defense. Now, at Virginia Tech, yes, they've got a fine football team. The offensive line is stout. They've got a mature, veteran offensive line coming back for next season, but they've got to replace Logan Thomas at quarterback. We saw Mark Leal look good at times and look rather flustered and overwhelmed at times. He threw an interception late in the football game to Miles Jack, who took it for a pick 6, and that was just an awful play by Leal. Leal is a junior, so he will be back. Virginia Tech fans, certainly let us know if he is supposed to be the guy in 2014 or if there's somebody else on that roster who will be given the keys or at least an opportunity to compete for the position in the spring and in August. The running back position certainly needs to be given a boost by somebody. There needs to be a candidate out there, whether he's playing high school football right now or he's on this list of underclassmen. This Virginia Tech running game has never been so bad. 110th in the country in rushing at 118 yards per game, and that's against a marginal schedule. 3.1 yards per carry, that says a ton. If you look at the yardage per carry averages of the top teams, and not even the top teams, the top 50, 60, 70 schools in the country, it's usually around 5.5 out of its best ball carrier. For Virginia Tech, though, they've got candidates. There's no question about that. They've got the freshman Trey Edmunds, who ran for 675 yards this year, 4.1 per carry and 10 touchdowns. Did not see action in this game. He was not available. But they've got also another freshman and running back, Jerome Wright, who ran 7 times in this game for 29 yards. Got a wide receiver in Carlos Parker, who they created some running situations for. He carried it 6 times. 2 other underclassmen got the football in the Sun Bowl game. J.C. Coleman, who ran it 9 times for 23 yards, and also the freshman Chris Mangus, who certainly shows some desire in the running game. He ran several times in this game on the season, 23 times for $126, and he was the workhorse against the Miami Hurricanes in that game, running 22 times for 68 yards. So out of all these candidates, Virginia Tech fans who know your football team, who would you like to see be the go-to guy, and who are really the players in the running for that top running back position in 2014? So we've got the Bruins on the rise, the Hokies, I see some good signs and some bad. Let us know what you think. Tech fans, UCLA fans, about your 2 football teams following this UCLA win in the Sun Bowl, right here on Mark Rogers TV.